Is the mic on? Hello. Yes, it is. Fantastic. Hello, and welcome to another new episode of Words with Willie. I'm your host, Willie Johnson, and today we're going to be telling some spooky stories. First, but we like to start every show by thanking our founders, Reginald Killer Tire God, and Celeste, our newest of the founders. You too can become a founder with a $50 donation. That can be all at once, $1 at a time, whatever works. All right, so then today we're telling some scary stories. Amanda, what do you think? Do you think we should take a call first, or do you think I should jump into the first story?
I think we should start off with a call.
Okay, let's. Phone lines are open. 402-281-2933. I would love to hear from you and any spooky, scary story you may have. Hello, caller. You're on Words with Willie. Hello, caller. Do you have any scary stories to share with us to start off the night?
Scary story.
And Amanda, can you make sure desktop audio is coming in?
Let me think on that one.
All right.
Scary. Well, Mr. Willie, what do you find scary?
Oh, I'm afraid of heights, spiders, accidental overdoses, loneliness. You know the normal stuff.
Oh, I feel you there, Mr. Willie. Loneliness certainly gets back on old Reginald.
I imagine, Reggie.
Oh, by the way, you missed out on youth group last week. Not sure where you were, but oh well. Anyway.
Yeah, I apologize about missing last week to everyone. Amanda was teaching Willie how to read, so I could read some of these scary stories tonight.
Oh, you can read now?
I can, not well, but, enough to get by.
Okay, well, that's great, Mr. Willie.
Amanda, is everything okay? You're making a lot of noise over there in the studio.
Is everything okay, Mr. Willie?
I think it sounded like Amanda was practicing on the steel drum or something. I'm not sure if any of the audio picked up. I apologize if it did. Anyway, Reggie, what were you saying?
I was just asking if you were okay, Mr. Willie.
Oh, I'm doing great. I can read. That's something new for me. How about yourself, Reggie?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Church is dealing with some financial problems, but
Will I still get paid?
Say it one more time.
Will I still get paid?
Oh yes, the check's coming in the mail. Of course, we expect some kids sermons every night, every week. But your salary's coming through, and your first check should be in the mail tomorrow morning.
Fantastic! I can't wait to cash that in. So, Reggie, you have a scary story for us?
Oh, let me think. I've been thinking this whole time.
Or is there anything that scares you to help me be spooky going forward?
Well, the one thing that scares me is living a life without my personal Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
That shouldn't scare you. That's breaking yourself of the chains of oppression that the Christian faith has put you in.
What do you mean, Mr. Willie?
You live your life by these rules that a 2,000-year-old book is telling you to live by, when in reality you have all the personal freedom you want. You can do what you want. You should be afraid of the oppression that your so-called Lord and Savior is putting you in.
Sir, Mr. Willie, I'm afraid I'm going to have to correct you on that. you should be afraid of the oppression and torment that your Lord and Master is going to afflict on you.
What oppression? I'm free to do what I will. That's like the main tenet of Satanism.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that your quote unquote Lord and Master is gonna torment you for all eternity if you continue down your path.
No, we're pretty cool. We're pretty tight, he and I. If anything, I'll be doing the tormenting, which I'm down for. I will stick a pitchfork in 10 asses a day. That's a Willie promise.
So you're not scared of hell or eternal torture or any of those things?
Hell no. Hell sounds great. The only thing is dry air. And Willie has a sinus thing, so I only hope that that Satan lets me bring a humidifier.
Okay, Mr. Willie, I think I have a story to tell.
Oh, let's hear it. Spook us.
All right. The main star is you, Mr. Willie.
Oh, that's. Don't freak me out too much.
Oh, I'll try not to, Mr. Willie. All right. You ready?
I'm all ears.
Once upon a time, there was a 19-year-old boy named Willie Johnson. And
That's me.
he decided one day that he was going to visit the church.
Okay, that's pretty scary.
And he walked into the church not knowing what to expect. He wanted to obviously just see what it was about. You know, all his friends were saying all the great things about it. You know, all these great things about.
Is this one of those stories where it's a dream at the end?
I can't spoil the ending, Mr.
Oh,
Whitty.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on your toes. Continue.
So Mr. Willie decided to add a pure blind optimism to walk into the church. And the church was the priest came up to Mr. Willie and
Raped
the
him.
young boy Willie and said,
Oh.
why don't you come into the box here and confess your sins, Miss? And Willie was like, why do I gotta do that? And the priest said, well, if you don't confess your sins, then God might smite you in the end. And Willie was like, well, I don't think that'll happen.
It won't.
And the priest said, well, are you sure about that? And Willie said, oh, I'm pretty sure that the so-called God won't smite me for living my way.
I'll beat the shit out of God if he tries.
And Mr. Willie walked out of the church very disappointed. The church was not as he seemed. And he decided to go home and continue his sinful path of drinking and doing drugs
Uh-huh.
and looking at nudie magazines
Oh, yeah. That sounds right.
and, you know, going to the local strip club and doing all sorts of blasphemous things. And then one night at approximately 11:59 p.m., lightning struck Mr. Willie. And he passed away right there on the blacktop. And immediately he came to me, the Lord Almighty, sitting there right in front of him.
I slapped him across the... What the hell? Reggie, did your
What,
God
Mr.
do this?
I'm not done with my story, Mr. Willie.
You've sent some sort of beast, of ghost to my home? And it's tearing apart my set? The set that you've paid for?
What? Mr. Willie, what's going on?
The sign, the words with Willie sign, has fallen. It was thrown at me. It didn't just fall; it was thrown.
Oh my word, Mr. Willie, I think I know what's happening.
What, Reggie? What's happening?
I'm pretty sure that God is punishing you for being a Satanist.
So it's a fight he wants. God's challenging Willie.
No, I'm pretty sure he's pretty much telling you that you need to stray away from your sinful past, Mr. Willie.
Well, I'm not doing that.
I'm pretty sure you are. I mean, you keep talking about doing all these sinful activities.
Yeah.
My story was pretty evident, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sounded I was about to go to heaven and kick the shit out of God. So what it sounds like. I was gonna summon the devil, and the final fight between God and Satan was gonna happen, and Willie was gonna be in charge.
Well, I wasn't quite finished with my story, but the point of it is, God, He loves you, Mr. Willie, and all He wants is for you to quit your sinful past.
Counterpoint, no.
Why not, Mr.
Have you
Willie?
ever sinned, Reggie? It's awesome. Sinning's the best. You should try it. I highly recommend sinning.
I don't see it as a good thing, Mr. Willie. I mean,
Have you
if
tried
God
sinning?
created us-
Reggie, what's the worst sin you've ever committed?
the worst thing I've ever committed. Let me think. When I was 6 years old, I stepped on an ant, and I just felt so terrible afterwards. I murdered one of God's creations.
Wait, so you don't even kill bugs?
Oh no, I just let them all fly around my windows.
What if you have a termite infestation in your home?
Oh, well, I send the holy exterminators in, and they find a new home for the termites.
No, what you gotta do, Reggie, is you gotta kill those fuckers. You gotta do it yourself. You gotta defend your home.
Well, yeah, but we share this home with our Creator. Our Creator and His creations.
Reggie, here's your homework for this week. I need you.
Okay.
I need you to commit one of the 7 deadly sins. Just one of them. I highly recommend gluttony or is adultery a sin?
Yes.
Or adultery.
Oh yes, that is the worst sin out of all of them.
Worse than murder.
If you've committed adultery, then you better pray immediately for your soul.
Are you saying it would be better for me to kill another person than cheat on my wife?
Well, I would consider adultery and murder to be of equal sinful value.
They can't both be number 1. One's got to be worse than the other.
It's murder.
Well, maybe murder's a little bit worse, but adultery most certainly is near the top.
Your God even says that murder's worse.
Amanda says God. Apparently, she talks to God. She smokes a lot of DMT, so I don't doubt it. Apparently,
Amanda,
God says murder's worse.
It doesn't matter what he says is worse, but adultery is near the top of the sinful value spectrum.
What if I murder an adulterer? Do they cancel each other out?
You're still committing a sin.
But is it less of a
Much better
sin
to
because I'm
convert
killing
that-
a sinner?
It is much better to convert that adulterer to the holy name of Jesus Christ than to murder him.
What if the only way I can convert him to the holy name of Jesus Christ is with my dick?
Mr. Willie, I have homework for you now.
Oh.
You just gave me homework. I'm going to give you homework.
Okay.
Repent of all of your sins and turn your life to Jesus Christ.
I mean, I'll try it. I can't promise that after I repent that I won't just sin again. I love to sin.
By what just happened in
Sin
your
is
studio,
in. That's what Willie says.
Just judging by what happened in your studio, I would consider turning immediately.
Well, that sounds like God's trying to pick a fight with me, and it's a fight he's going to lose. All right, Reggie, I'm going to let you go. We got some spooky stories to get to. As always, I appreciate you calling. Good luck sinning. Like I said, I recommend adultery, but do what you want. And hail Satan, Reggie.
I'm not committing adultery.
Well, commit a sin at least. Hail Satan.
What a snooze fest, am I right?
He needs to realize that God's fucking lame. All right, before we get to our next call, I've got our first spooky story of the night. All of these stories were pre-prepared by our tech supervisor, producer of the show, super producer Amanda Blow.
Hey.
And this first one is called Sonic.exe. It's about Sonic the Hedgehog. Like that wildly popular movie, probably the best movie of 2021. Did that come out this year? I think that came out this year. Best movie of the millennia. I'm calling it now. So let's get to our first story. I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played a glitchy or hacked games before, though I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had. Spooky. It started out on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I liked how you got to explore the towns that were in it. Until I noticed, out of my peripheral vision, that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox, as usual, and left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing that was in the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I took them inside. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle. Let's call him that. Whom I hadn't heard from in 2 weeks. This guy was playing Sonic Unleashed but was still getting mail from his friend? Some pioneer shit. I know that because I recognized his handwriting. Though what was weird was how it looked. Not the fact that it was a letter, that's the weird part. Don't send people letters unless you're trying to, hook up with someone in jail. It looked badly written and scratchy and somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and did it in a hurry. This is... Amanda, can we set some mood lighting here?
Absolutely.
It's about to get very spooky. Turn that down a couple notches. It's the little box. Super producer Amanda, everyone. Give her a hand. Yes. Very spooky. That's good. This is what the letter this man received said. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late. And I was hoping that you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. And if you don't destroy this CD, he'll come after you too. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc and you'll destroy him. But do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants. Just destroy it. Please. Kyle. Well, that was certainly weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend, and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked. That's a bad friend. Also, it's weird your friend sent you mail. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, I was wrong about that. Uh-oh. Anyway, I looked at the disc, and it looks like any ordinary computer CDR disc, except it had black marker written Sonic.exe. And it was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have got it from somewhere else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic in the writing of the CD, I was actually excited and wanted to play it, since I'm a big Sonic fan. Big is all capitalized, which implies something sexual. This dude wants to fuck Sonic. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game, and I was like, awesome! Because, like I said earlier, I liked the classics. The first thing that I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start. There was a split second when I saw the title image turn into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying before cutting to black. I remember what that image looked like in that split second before the game cut. The sky had darkened, the title emblem was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 was now instead Sega 666. Hell yeah. And the water had turned red, like blood, or Kool-Aid, except it looked hyper-realistic, also like Kool-Aid. But the freakiest thing that was in that split-second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding, with two glowing red dots staring right at me. And his smile had stretched wider, up to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about that image when I saw it, though I figured that it was just a glitch and forgot about it. White people, they never get scared when they're supposed to. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so. And then another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up. And I was like, WTF? What's this doing in the first Sonic game? Right? Amanda, right?
Right, yeah.
Anyway, then I noticed something was off. The background was a dark cloudy sky of the bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic's CD. And there were only 3 save files. The music was that creepy Caverns of Winter music from Earthbound, only it was extended and seemed to have been in reverse. And the image for the save file where you see the preview of the level you're on is just red static for all 3 files. Everyone getting scared out there? Yes, Extreme Birding, we are sure Kyle's white. There has never been a black man named Kyle in the existence of history. What freaked me out more was the character select. It showed only Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now I was sure that something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game, for crying out loud? That's when I realized that this wasn't a glitchy game. It was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. Or at least I tried not to be. I told myself that it was just a hacked game, and there's nothing wrong with that. Anyways, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked File 1 and chose Tails, and when I selected and got started, the game froze for about 5 seconds, and then I heard a creepy, pixelated laugh that sounded an awful lot like that Kefka guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more, then it showed the typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red. And the text showed only Hill Act 1. The screen faded in, and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different, though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails start running like you would in any of the classic Sonic games. What was odd was that as Tails was running along the level, there was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into slow, deep tones, very slowly, as I kept going. I suddenly saw something and I stopped to see what it was. It was only one of the small animals lying dead on the ground, bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face. Tails the guy?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's scary. That freaked me out. My whole life I thought Tails was a girl. I'd never seen him have before, so I had him move along, and he kept that worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals, as Tail moved past them looking more and more worried as the music lowers and he moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like somebody killed them in a rather gruesome way. A squirrel was hanged on a tree with what appeared to be the entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit. That's over. It's very easy to kill a duck. You don't need to do all of that. This is a sick bastard, is what it sounds like. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed after the music stopped, Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen, with his back against Tails and his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him. If not acting as if he was totally oblivious of Tails' presence, there's not a lot of punctuation in this story. I apologize. It's a lesson Amanda taught me. Punctuation means stop. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that wasn't even moving my keyboard to make him move. So this had to have been a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to have a growing feel of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was going to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic, and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots, just like that title image. Thought there wasn't a smile. It's supposed to be though there wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds, and then white text appeared forming a message saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to a different level with the level title now saying, "Hide and Seek." This time, I was in the Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from Sonic Adventures 2 was playing, as this dude knows too much about Sonic. That's also a scary red flag. Was playing as I made Tails trek through the desolated forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly I heard that creepy laugh again. That awful Kefka laugh. Right after 10 seconds have passed, as I helped Tails run through the forest, and then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful, drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. The flying pose his sprite was making looked very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic.exe. Except it was just Sonic, and he had the black and red eyes again. Only. This time, there was a line break between only and this time. Only this time, he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving the poor little fox as he gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started to cry for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I had kind of teared up myself. That's good storytelling. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come down from those blackened eyes of Sonic's, as a grin slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. In just a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails, right before the screen went black. There was a loud, screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. That's a long screech. 5 seconds isn't a long time, but it's a long screech. Oh, the god awful laugh came. Oh, here we go. In just a split second, the screen went black. It was noise 5 seconds. The text returned, only this time it said, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" And that god awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what had happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I once had a best friend who tried to murder me on a weekly basis, live for the internet. So, it happens. Be careful of the friends you choose. I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but in the TV screen itself, which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding, his orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black again, and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack or some kind of sick, twisted joke. Or anything, really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of a scrap brain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the dark reddish cloudy sky, but it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like Gygas's theme right after you beat Pokey in Earthbound. Those aren't words. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid just like Tails did, though not as much. More rather, he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall just like Tails and looked as if he wasn't sure about going on, but I made him anyway. He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple times, and then that maddening laugh came again. Then, after a few seconds of running, Jesus Christ, this is long. Let's jump to the meat and potatoes. Knuckles dies. Oh, here we go. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be a pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again. Then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again, and then I made him punch again, and Sonic vanished again, and the laughing came again. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his feet and clutched his head sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then, in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles and the screen went black with another distorted screeching sound that lasted for at least 3 seconds. Another text message appeared. So many souls to play with. So little time. Would you agree? What the hell? Just what is going on? I started to think that Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game. But I was too scared to think that, even though he just said he thought that. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap. Wish I hadn't, because I then began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in pitch black darkness, though I was under the light given off by a lamp that hung right above my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us," and "Why did you give us to him? Run away before he gets you too." Their cries died out as I then heard Sonic laugh his laugh. It sounded a lot like a distorted Kefka laugh. It's not a Sonic laugh then. "You're a lot of fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle." Though he didn't last long. I was scared looking around for the source of the voice. "Won't be long." Actually, this is Sonic talking. "Won't be long now till you join him and all my other friends." I do a pretty good Sonic. It's one of Willie's hidden skills. I saw him walking toward me, flickering in and out several directions. "You can't run, kid. You're in my world now, just like the others." When he grabbed me and I saw his bleeding, black, red-eyed, grinning face, I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours, I decided I don't care about you playing the game. Get to the meat and potatoes. Kefka laugh, Robotnik dies. Same way. His eyes wide. I stare at that gruesome image. Screen flickered. Oh, here we go. The screen flickered with red static again 3 times. And on the 3rd time, I heard that Kefka laugh. Except this time it sounded distorted. Demonic even. It went back to the image again, except this time there was text again. Though it was messed up. But it was pretty much one of those most horrifying things I looked at since I had this game. I am God. It was when I read that message while looking at Sonic when it hit me. I realized right there and then, this Sonic was a monster. A pure evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented monster. And then, all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, are just his little toys. And then the game is the very gateway into his chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length. Nice. Sonic can suck dick. An unnatural light revealing nothing but literally spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again. This time much louder and distorted, so loud that it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a good 7 seconds. And then it stopped and showed nothing but a black screen. As I sat there staring at the black screen, one last text came up. "Ready for round 2, Tom?" The Kefka laugh, now sounding more clear as if Sonic was right behind me, played again 3 times as I looked at that text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu. This time, the third save file had a single image of Robotnik in the same tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned a dull gray, his mustache drooped and had blackened, his glasses broke and blood is coming from them, and he had a mere dead-like expression in his face. Then the computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn it back on, no matter what I did. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds, horrified by what just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play his game in more ways than one, and when he gets bored, he drags you into the game. Literally drags you to hell, where he can play with you always, as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there. But at least I managed to turn it back on now. After I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me, like a whisper. Try and keep this interesting for me, Tom. I turned around to see where the voice came from, and what I saw made me scream. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling, with bloodstains under its eyes. You guys spooked out there? Everyone freaked out? Everyone, Amanda, you scared?
Yeah, I'm so scared. Whew.
Yeah, it's... Oh, making sure Sonic's not behind me. He's not. Sonic's not behind me. All right, let's open up the phones. Let's get another call. I'd love to hear some of your spooky stories. The phones are, I apologize. I should have put a warning on this episode that it's not for the faint of heart. I apologize for everyone who was too spooked. Hello, you're on Words with Willie. 1 out of 10, how spooked are you?
Willie, are we exchanging scary stories?
Yeah, if you've got a scary story, I'd love to hear it. Or, if you just want to let me know what scares you, so I can spook you good.
Would you by any chance know anything about analog horror?
Analog horror. Does that involve those little sticks on controllers?
No, it's nothing like that. It's definitely not like the story you were just reading. Better question, have you ever heard of something called the Monument Mythos?
No.
No? Okay, well basically it's this analog horror series on YouTube that basically tells the story of how the United States government uses American monuments as basically it tells the story of how they're like keeping like demons and portals to hell.
Fuck yeah.
And like famous monuments like the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, and the Statue of Liberty.
That's cool as hell. Please tell me more. I'm interested.
There's a lot to go through, but basically, the story goes to that like ever since like I think it like goes back to like to the 19th century. So basically, it mostly started from what the videos that I saw. It basically started with this what they called the special tree, which was basically like this huge trunk, very slender tree that barely had any branches. And obviously it was not of this world, but for whatever reason, the U.S. government decided to build a monument around it, which would end up becoming the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. And over the years, what they would do is that they would take dissenters, like people who disagreed with the U.S. government, and they would take them there, and those people would just disappear, never to be seen again.
So are you saying that Satan is working for the U.S. government?
Well, I think it's more like it's basically an alternate history story, whereas the U.S. government is actually like trying to like harness like demonic forces and whatnot, and that's just like one of the stories. But basically, there are like these special trees that have been like growing out of the earth for like centuries, and apparently it goes even deeper than that. Like apparently the Egyptians discovered these trees first, and they actually tried to build the pyramids around them. But the thing is that they weren't actually pyramids at all. They were actually big monuments, just like the Washington Monument, like much bigger because the trees are like miles deep into the earth.
And what happened to the tree that was in Egypt?
Well, actually, there were multiple ones. One for each pyramid that they had.
Oh shit!
In Egypt, and basically, what would happen is that it's never explained why, but these trees, what would happen is that they would basically bend down so that they would like make like an arch, kind of like the Arch of St. Louis, and suddenly lightning would be conducted, and this would eventually open a portal to another dimension. There was another story about a girl named Virginia who ended up going through one of these portals after one of these special trees was taken to the Rockefeller Center in New York. And she ended up going to another dimension where John D. Rockefeller, the oil tycoon from like the early 20th century, was actually the president of the United States.
Oh shit!
And he was basically like in on it. Like he was like actually harvesting like these trees and like so many other stuff that you wouldn't believe.
So is it possible that was reality, and we actually live in the alternate dimension?
Exactly. That's the really scary part. It tries so hard to convince you that, because like a lot of people like to believe in like the multiverse theory, and that there's like an alternate reality out there where like in which some details are sort of like different, but it could still seem like to be fooled into thinking that it's still your world, which is kind of like what happened with this Virginia girl. Like she thought she didn't even realize she was in another dimension until she realized that there were just some things that were off with it.
So you're saying that there's possibly a dimension out there where Willie is not a wildly successful YouTuber like I am now?
Exactly.
That's scary to think about.
Basically what it is. Yeah. And somehow that's kind of like the scariest part. I haven't told you about the story of the statue that cuts people's heads off for disagreeing with the government.
I mean that just sounds like a drone. That's drone strikes. That's a cement drone strikes. What that sounds like.
Yeah, except it's not even a drone. Like this, it's basically okay. So like you know the statue that's on top of the Capitol building in Washington D.C.
Yep. Willie's educated about that.
Well, what if I told you that statue was actually had the body parts of the sculptor who made it and was possessed, and at one point wore the skin of the daughter who sculpted it?
That's pretty badass. I mean, it's bad, but it's pretty cool. That's like a flesh statue, a flesh gargoyle. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was probably like one of the worst stories. I think that had me up for days when I first heard that. And the scariest part is that
meth.
It turns out that so you know like how the real life statue has like a shield and a sword?
Yes.
Apparently this statue's sword was made out of a glass that when it cuts people's body parts off, it wouldn't exactly kill them. So if if this sword were to cut your head off, you would still feel it. Well, mostly just your head. Your body would die out, so like everything below your neck would die like normal, but your head would still be alive. And what they would do is that they would use the heads that the statue cut off, and they would then put those heads into statues so that they can then use them to like kill more dissenters, or just anyone who was like an enemy to the U.S. government.
That's pretty badass. I would love to have a statue army. I'm actually at war with Texas and God, so yeah, that'd be pretty great to have a statue army. Also, I wouldn't be that mad if I lived after getting my head cut off. You're safe. You don't have to eat anymore. You don't really need a big house. You can really just live in like those Japanese hotels where it's just a bed. That's all you would need. That'll be your whole house. It sounds like a win-win for those people. Besides becoming, slave statues.
Yeah, and that was and it somehow got even worse. Apparently, the U.S. government, I don't know how they did this, but they had technologies back in like the 1910s, like back when during like World War I, where they would use those severed heads as like a fuel source for airships. I have no idea how they did that, but that was supposedly a thing that they did.
I mean, what they say, a little good head will get you far. A little good head will get you far. Apparently, more than we originally thought.
Yeah, so if you ever want to look into it, the horror series is called Monument Mythos, but I think the name of the actual YouTube channel that it's on is called Alex Kansas. So in case you ever want to look into it.
Everyone, check that out. We're gonna get some statues, and we're gonna go to heaven and kill God with them.
Yeah, I must heavily advise your discretion. So like this, like the thing with like analog horror is like it's basically like a subgenre of horror where it's half of it is like found footage, but it's like really old, grainy found footage. I feel like I have like a peculiar fear of that kind of stuff, but I never managed to find a name for it. Like an actual phobia of like old, grainy, black and white photos.
I'm Willie's terrified of British children. I don't like their voices. So I get it. It's a fear that you didn't know you had until you came into contact with one. And now if I ever meet a British child, I'm kicking him in the chest. Just reminding them of who took them out of World War II. The Russians.
All right, Willie. I guess that's all the horror stories I have.
I appreciate that's a good one. That's analog horror. I will definitely check that out. I'm spooky season, looking to get spooked, looking to have my shit scared. So I'll definitely check out analog horror. I appreciate the call, caller, and hail Satan.
All right, hail Satan.
All right, should we one more caller, and then I'll just take out this episode with some what was that you sent me, Amanda? Erotic stories. Erotic. Does that mean real? Erotic ghost stories. Erotic. Oh, hello, caller. You're on Words with Willie. Do you have any spookies to scare us?
Yes, I could let the spooky stories to scare you. You remember me?
Yep, I'm happy to have you call again, caller.
It's the smuggler from Texas.
I
was just working on.
yes, you made me
Yeah,
governor.
I'm working on the. Yes. I'm right now working on the execution of Greg Abbott. That's going to happen next week.
It's
Working on
been
this
2
right
weeks.
now.
What's the holdup? Also, I went to
Uh,
Texas and no one would listen to me.
Well, we've run into a couple snags. You see, with the Congress of Texas right now, they're kind of wanting to impeach you, but don't worry, I'm going to poison them with lots of poisonous marijuana extract, so it's going to be fine.
It sounds like you're just gonna get him stoned, which sounds pretty awesome.
Well, no. I mean, I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you a story about how I made this stuff because it's not just cannabis. It's like toxic. It'll kill
Oh,
them
a
in an
spooky
instant.
weed story.
Oh yes.
420
yes,
blaze
I'm
it.
going to
Let's go.
into- no, listen. Before they sign those articles of impeachment, I'm going to go in and sneak it into their coffee, and it'll knock them dead, all of them, like in an instant. It'll be amazing. But I'm going to tell you the story of how I made this stuff.
Yeah,
because
let's hear it.
It's wonder. It's wonder. So a long time ago, like not long ago, like a couple months ago, I was a surgeon, a fake surgeon. I was a smuggler posing as a surgeon because I wanted to see if I could use some of the drugs in the hospital to make some.
Ooh, hospitals are spooky.
Oh yes.
Grandmas
So-
go there and die.
Oh yes. So there was a rabbit that was coming in to have a surgery. See, a wonderful rabbit, and we knocked her down for surgery, and then the surgeon cut into her flesh with a medical instrument and opened up a huge hole inside of her stomach. And that was when I took my marijuana, my green marijuana, and I sprinkled it inside the rabbit, letting it soak up all the juices inside the rabbit, the inside of the rabbit juices. Then I took a spoon and I took out all of the marijuana out of the rabbit, and it was soaking up all the inside fluids, as you could see. And I put it in a bag, and I let it ferment in the basement for months and months and months
Wet
until it
aged
became
pot.
rancid. And it became the most wonderful cannabis that you could ever imagine.
The
because it
dankest
killed
dank you
your
ever
enemies.
danked.
Oh yes. So that's my cannabis story. But you know what else I did? Because the rabbit was married to a wolf, and I took some of the cannabis and I rolled it up into a cigarette, and I walked over to him and I said, "Here, smoke your own girlfriend, won't you?"
Oh,
Oh,
you
yes,
smoke
yes.
his girl. Did he die?
No, because it didn't ferment at that time. It was fresh. But now that it's been fermenting in the basement for months, it's gotten all these bacteria and all these dangerous substances. So
No.
I'm going to go in.
Now, caller, is this are you sure this isn't just pot with formaldehyde on it? Because that's called getting wet, and
Well-
a lot of people, current company included, they like to get wet.
Oh yeah, well definitely. But here's the thing. Once it sits in the basement in heat for months and months and months, it turns rancid and it gets like really toxic. So once you put it into somebody's drink, just a little tiny bit, it'll knock them dead within a couple hours because they'll get extremely sick. They'll start vomiting and having lots of diarrhea, and it'll dehydrate all of them, and they'll all just pass away like magic.
It sounds like you're just gonna get super stoned, which is awesome. Sometimes you feel like you're dying when you get too high, but if you got a good trip sitter, they're gonna get through it. Are we sure there are no good trip sitters in the Texas State Congress?
But I don't really know. I actually, I'm glad you brought that up to me. I'm gonna have to look into that. But I was also gonna let you know we've assigned Greg Abbott's execution next week, and we offered him one phone call, the one last person he wants to talk to before he meets his demise, and he chose you.
Oh, really?
So he might call you next week.
I look
to-
forward to that. I'll make sure I have the same time, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. He wants to. He's not gonna concede. I know that. He's gonna try to scare you or try to say some kind of bullshit. But he's in the basement. We've had him in the basement. We haven't fed him food for like 2 weeks. He's been starving and
And he's
getting,
still alive.
Oh, he's still alive. He's been alive. He's been drinking sewer water to stay hydrated. It's amazing.
That's gonna
He's-
give you the shits.
yeah.
Willie's been there. I've drank toilet water. It goes right through you.
But what we're going to do, you see, after we execute him, we're going to put some cannabis inside of his body, and we're going to ferment it. And we're going to make delicious cannabis out of Greg Abbott. It's going to be amazing, and I'm going to sell it all across Texas.
Oh,
It's going
I'd
to be
smoke
called
Abbott.
Cannabis. It's going to be called Abbott Cannabis. I'll sell you some. Actually, I'll give you some for free.
Really?
I'll send it to your address. Yes, it'll be amazing. Yes.
Fantastic. Wait, is this gonna kill me though?
Oh no, this one won't kill you because we're going to put some other substances in it to keep it good. Some lactobacillus, which is like a bacteria, kind of like a pickle bacteria that kind of like pickleizes all the bacteria and kills it for you. So it's almost like
I don't want pickled weed. Willie doesn't do sour well, and pickles are kind of sour.
No, it doesn't taste like no. It doesn't taste like pickle. It does the same kind of thing that keeps the bacteria out of pickles. So it's just a bacteria. It's not like vinegar. Because pickles, they didn't make pickles batter is a vinegar. We're not putting any like vinegar or salt in it. We're just putting the bacteria that's in pickles into the thing to make. So it doesn't taste like pickle. It tastes like delicious Abbott cannabis, but it's not going to be like pickles. No. We don't do that kind of shit.
Well,
but also,
then,
I was going to tell you next week if we sell a lot of this cannabis, we want to be one of you. I want to be a founder, so I might donate, say like $50 if we make
I would
good
love
chunk
that.
of money out of the cannabis.
We got
We'd
room
love
for more founders on here, so I welcome your founderness. Like I said, I'm gonna put you in charge of weed in Texas. You're my go-to weed guy.
Yes, and here's the thing. Here's one piece of advice. I know you're governor of Texas, and nobody's listening to you right now. The reason nobody's listening to you is they don't take you seriously. The thing is, you need to show them that you really are governor, because at this point you're not really governor because you weren't elected. You're king of Texas. Like you're like the Saddam Hussein of Texas. Like you could you're in charge. Like if you wanted to, you could go out and send your armies and literally like obliterate everybody in Texas like in an instant if you wanted to. Like so you got that power. So if you want to get people to listen to you, you just need to really scare them. Like this is a scary stream. You scare the people of Texas.
Don't worry. I've got the perfect story. It's one of Amanda's erotic stories, which I think means true. It's a true story I'm about to read. I'm going to scare you, Texas, and I'm going to get a 10-gallon crown because I am the king of Texas. And death to Greg Abbott.
Yes. Hold on.
Oh, Amanda has something to say.
Just so we're clear,
yes.
are you donating
What?
$50 so you can be a founder? And you get to be a founder?
Wait, what did she ask?
Amanda, don't be greedy.
I'm curious if
Wait, what did she ask? What did she ask for?
She's begging for money.
I'm not.
Well, we'll donate a good $50 if we get a good sale on the cannabis. You see, which we probably will. There's a lot of cannabis lovers in Texas. Yes, lots of marijuana.
I mean, people. Have you ever been to Texas? Those people need some fun, because there's nothing in Texas but desert and racist old ladies.
Oh yes, lots of those. But you could take those out now because.
I'm gonna beat them to death with my hands because I'm the king.
Yes. All right. Well, I got to go on another ecstasy run. I got to go give Archibald Asparagus his ecstasy. So I'll see you. Greg Abbott is going to say his last words next week's stream, and then he's going to be executed.
Fantastic! I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see him. I may display his head. That'll become part of the set. Hail Satan, caller, and thank you for everything you've done for me in the state of Texas.
Oh yes. Okay. Hail Satan and hail marijuana. All right. And also cocaine. Can't forget.
Yes,
cocaine.
of course. Yeah, I never forget cocaine. Don't worry. Think about it all the time.
All right. See you.
All right, we're gonna go out on one of these erotic stories. Before I go, like I said, or in the description, you can see the link to the Discord. It's actually an actual Discord now. I got real mods for it. So, go join there. I'm going to be adding a channel for you to submit your own spooky stories. Or you can email them to wordswithwillie at 420@gmail.com. Amanda, throw the graphic up for that. I was supposed to make that. All right, just imagine like a really cool graphic. that says wordswithwillie420 at gmail.com. You can also email your scary stories there. If we get enough submissions, we will be doing those, reading those on Halloween night. It'll be spooky scary for all of us. Hail Satan, please like, comment, and subscribe. Click the bell. Tell your friends. Please tell people. Let's grow this channel so that Willie can. Let's relapse hard this time. All right, so then we finish tonight off with an erotic story called "The Old Man and Jerry." The hospital I did my residency at was a lovely old institute. The long, narrow halls echoed with sounds that added to the creepy atmosphere. I loved it, ghosts and all. Ooh, we already got ghosts. Night shifts turned into my favorite time there. The building was never quiet, even in the dead of night. It suited my loneliness. I was working on the ward most nights, and that was eerie in itself. One of my patients was an old man. He had been there for weeks now. He was dying here, alone. All the people he had been close to were gone. Most nights I would go sit with him, and he and I would commiserate each other in those haunted hours. He had a gentle intellect and a very vibrant personality. He was a joy to visit. As the time moved forward, he faded away. I would just sit with him, quietly holding his hand. We too became friends. One stormy winter night, he asked me to hold him. I only hesitated for a moment before I gently got into bed with him so we could spoon. He was in his late 90s, at the end of a very long life. I was surprised at the vitality I could still feel radiating from him. I was even more surprised to find myself getting aroused. I tried to pull away, but he held me fast against him. "Stay," he whispered. I cuddled in closer, readjusting my hardening cock to nestle between his ass cheeks. Amanda, this is a true story. That's what erotic means.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. If only I was able, he said gruffly. The things I would do to you, young man. I nuzzled his neck, excited by the idea. Spontaneously and tenderly, I reached around his frail frame. His cock was hard and ready. It only took a gentle squeeze from me, and he came. Sorry, I'm getting a little scared. I held him a while longer until he fell asleep. A few nights later, he passed away. He slipped away quietly, and I felt him close to me for days at work. Nursing is like that sometimes. People die and don't ever seem to go home. Finally, I got some time off and dragged my exhausted self home. I felt too tired to do much more than shower and fall into bed. I remember thinking my friend's name just before falling asleep. David seemed to follow me down into deep sleep. Suddenly, I was wide awake. I was frozen to the bed and totally aware. The room was dark and quiet. I swear someone had called my name with great urgency. I laid there listening, feeling chills running over my body. I sat up, and without warning, a strong pressure pushed me back down. Invisible lips firmly kissed mine. I bolted up and turning on the light to show an empty room. Scary. I got out of bed shaking when I felt kissed again, and a strong pressure holding me tightly. My body coursed with sensations. I was overwhelmed and completely frozen. I was shoved backwards and fell into my bed. The air whooshed out of me, and I felt pinned down. Every part of me was being touched, and I felt a pleasant weight covering me. I closed my eyes, giving into intense feelings, with all of me being stimulated at once. It was almost more than I could bear. Because bears. Oh, also, bear's a gay thing. Maybe this guy's a bear. That's a triple entendre. I felt a tongue invade my mouth as fingers probed my sensitive asshole. The tension building in me felt unbearable, but my entity would not relent. It brought me to the cusp of coming before pulling me back again and again. I felt wild with passion and pleasure. Every part of me felt filled and touched. Oh, like a good meal. If you ever go to Golden Corral, you'll get the same sensation. Just full and touched. All of my nerves were turned up to a 10, and I felt like I was on fire. My lips were being kissed, and my cock sucked. That's also happened at many Golden Corrals. My balls, my nipples, my asshole, every single one being stimulated and filled at once. I knew there was no more holding back. An orgasm rocked through my body like a tsunami. As I was writhing and moaning there, I felt my ass deeply penetrated. The reverse happens after you eat at Golden Corral. Your ass is deeply evacuated. Orgasm after orgasm racked my body as my ghostly lover faded away. I lay there trembling and drenched in sweat. I said his name. David. I didn't believe in ghosts or any of that, but my friend... I didn't believe in ghosts or any of that, but my friend visited me that night. I knew for sure. He came to repay me as he had promised. I slept the best sleep of my life that night, thinking of David. The spooky rape ghost. Ooh, he'll make you come from your male G-spot. All right, thank you, everyone. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord, send me your spooky stories, wordswithwillie420@gmail.com. It's all in the description. Please help me grow the channel. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandma. Fucking carve it in your arm. You write it on a wall. Do what you want. Hail Satan. Hope everyone has a good Halloween. I may see you then. If not, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.